Hey everyone, welcome to another Warehouse Underground podcast. This one is episode 5. With me on the show today is Kris Cugnon of LaFayette Engineering and Jim Webb of their sister company, Mesh Automation. Now, in the distribution world, a lot of times it's the big engineering upgrades that can seem daunting, but those are the ones for a lot of organizations out there that can bring the biggest impact. So lowering your cost per unit, increasing your safety metrics, increasing your accuracy, dropping your dock to stock time, dropping your order to ship window for your customer, and all those things. But a lot of people don't know what goes on behind the scenes of organizations like that. What can I expect? How do they work? How do they operate? And so I'm very excited to have these two on the show today because they have been in this space more than a minute. They are very, very wise in this industry, and they've got a long track record and success stories out there that they can really share. So I hope that you find this podcast very insightful and valuable. And with that, I will bring these two onto the stage. Kris, Jim,
hello.
Welcome. Thank you for joining the Warehouse Underground. And how are you guys?
Thanks for having us. Doing great.
Yeah, doing great.
Happy to be here.
Good. Good. Yeah. I mean, so Jim, you and I were talking a little bit before the show. We didn't really even realize this, but we live within like 15 minutes from each other in Georgia. And so maybe the next time that we do this show, we can film it here live. Like we'll go down to the Varsity or something in Atlanta and set up shop there and film it. Does that sound pretty good?
Well, maybe not yeah, sure. We'll work on the location, but yeah, the Varsity.
Yeah, it could be pretty noisy.
Little guys graduated from Georgia Tech, so he'd support that.
Yeah, good. So first, just introduce yourselves to the audience. So just kind of tell them a little bit about your background, what brought you here today with these two companies, and high level kind of what they're all about and what they do.
Awesome. Well, I'm Kris Cugnon. My background is in, business development, marketing, program management for many years in the automotive industry. But this industry, I've grown to love it. There's so much opportunity and excitement in this space. So I've really enjoyed that. And excuse me. Sorry, Ben. I'm very sorry. You're gonna have to crop that.
That's okay.
Very sorry. Okay, should I start that over?
Yeah, you can. That's fine. I can pause it too. If you need me to.
Yeah. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
So I'm Kris Cugnon, and my background is business development, marketing, program management. I was in the automotive industry for many years, but have really grown to love this industry. It's very exciting in the warehouse space. And a little bit about LaFayette Engineering. We're a leading and nationwide provider of warehouse automation solutions. And we are 35 years strong. We pride ourselves on the variety of outstanding customers we have, including Fortune 500 companies. Mm-hmm. So we were founded 35 years ago by Bruce and Beth Robbins, and our headquarters is in Kentucky. We started out as a controls company and kind of naturally expanded to conveyors and systems integration and software. So we just opened our 4th U.S. office last year in Kennesaw, Georgia. And last year also we acquired Mesh Automation. So there are the robotics arm of our company and our sister company in the space. So now we have a true comprehensive offering for materials handling, including conveyors, robotics, systems integration, electrical controls, high-speed sortation, software, and maintenance.
Yeah.
So there's a little everything in a nutshell for you.
Yep. And Jim?
Well, as far as my background, I've been around a while. I'm going to say 40 years. That's probably being kind. Um, Doing things in the automation space with the last 20 odd years, mostly involved in robotic automation. And at Mesh, our primary goal is to build and install flexible automation solutions that primarily involve robotics, but sometimes also in things like gantry robots, or what some folks call Cartesian robots, and cobots, as well as AMRs. Anything that's programmable that moves things around from place to place. Mesh is the kind of company that you want to talk to about solving those material handling problems.
Yeah.
Mesh is about 26 years old now. We're very happy to be involved with LaFayette. They did acquire, the Robbins family, that is, did acquire Mesh last year in April. So we're kind of new to the whole LaFayette experience, but we found so far it's been a wonderful joining of resources and talents that are putting us in a position to do some pretty wonderful and innovative things. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, if you look on the websites, there's a lot of great success stories, and I kind of alluded to this in the intro, that people can see lots of videos and think like miles and miles of conveyance, robotics, palletizers, depalletizers, AGVs, AMRs, all those type things. So it's the type of things that can really make an impact. But who would you say, Kris, is your kind of ideal type customer? And I say that because in the world of warehousing, a lot of times there is a wide variety. You may have big publicly traded companies that run big giant fulfillment centers, private equity held companies that are kind of in the middle, all the way down to family owned companies. So who is that type customer that is the easiest for you to provide value for in these types of projects?
That's a great question. We're an excellent partner for rapidly emerging companies that are growing quickly, that need to streamline their processes quickly, ensure safety, maximize efficiency. But really, any manufacturing or distribution company that currently has or needs in automation, they may be dealing with labor challenges, but they can all benefit from our offering. It's important for every warehouse to be structured to scale for growth, and we can help with that.
Yeah.
But also companies that need high-speed sortation, that's another sweet spot for us as well. But really, any manufacturing or distribution company moving materials, and you need to make it efficient, and we can help.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that I hear a lot in the industry is you have these organizations that really start to hit it big. Their sales are really starting to grow fast, and now they're scaling up, but they don't want their labor costs to scale up faster than that. And so when you're trying to lower costs at scale, it's very effective way to do that is through automation. If you can make that capital investment, that's how you can control that. So I would think that anybody that's out there that is scaling fast, I mean, anyone can benefit, but those particularly, I think would definitely find value in these types of projects. And it's hard for them to know, I think, but usually you have those meetings, you're like, hey, this is getting much more painful for us to operate. Maybe it's time for us to look at a different solution, and LaFayette comes right in and fills that void.
Absolutely.
And so Jim, on the mesh automation side, with robotics and automation, a lot of times you will feel that customers or people who are unfamiliar with what automation can and can't do, they will begin to have this misconception that automation can solve every single one of their problems. Robots can solve every single one of their problems because look at company X, look at company Y, they had that. Is that a misconception out there in the industry that just by writing a check for some robots and automation that a magic wand is waved and all problems are fixed? Or is that a reality? I mean, is that becoming a reality for companies out there to expect?
Well, a couple things. Actually, the robotics industry has been around since the late 1950s in the United States. A couple of fellows here in the US invented the industrial robot. And even though the world has been a little bit quicker in gravitating to robotic automation solutions, the US has lagged a little bit behind. And what's going on currently is, say, in the last 6 to 8 years, the US market, regardless of application or industry that we're serving, is adopting the robotic automation solution more readily than any time ever in its past. So we're seeing, to your point, lots of interest in new and different and emerging applications for us. And in some cases, those are very attainable and doable. And in fact, maybe the kind of thing we've been doing for a long time. But lately, especially with the advent of AI becoming more interesting to folks on the industrial floor and the warehouse space, we're seeing folks ask for things that, to your point, just maybe are a little bit out of our reach. So we're here to help and understand and guide and coach folks. Half of our customers, quite literally, are first-time users of industrial robotics. So there's quite a little bit of understanding and future shock adjustment and sometimes paradigm shift adjustment within the organization that we're here and ready and willing to.
Yeah, I mean, do you find that is part of the deal? Like, yes, we're trying to offer you a solution. Yes, we're trying to sell you this service and this product, but part of our job is sort of educating you and coaching you and bringing you along.
To keep it real, we cannot. The old saying used to be, "We cannot automate chaos." Right. So one of the indirect benefits of robotic or flexible or reprogrammable automation, like we offer, was that we first need to have the customer organize or have some sense of organization about what it is we're moving, handling, touching, because we're very specific in our tooling and our programs and the hard world of actually making it work. But what's happening now, especially with AI, is the requests are coming to your question about magic. Every automation system I've been involved with has had some little piece of magic somewhere along the line that's helped make it work, but we're not magicians.
Yes.
So we need to still be grounded in reality. We walk through every application step by step, and we do have a process for doing that, and we do have a way of coaching customers in the proper direction for the best benefit for them. It's an interesting time for automation in that the software and the intelligence and the vision systems, which is the main area where we use artificial intelligence, is in the machine vision side of things, allows us, some more opportunity to reach out and do things that literally 5 years ago we would go, nah, we can't do that. And now it's almost a regular part of what we do.
Yeah. And I feel like just that expectation management, with the customer is important so that they know what they're getting, right? They know the reality. And I always tell people this, it seems like, I feel like robotics and automation is taking the same path that big screen TVs took. I remember at one point when I was a kid, no one had a big screen TV. If you did, you were wealthy and it was a big thing. But now everyone has them. I mean, you can go to Walmart and get a big screen TV for just nothing. And I feel like robots are kind of taking that same path. Automation's that same path. It just used to be something that seems so out of reach for everyone and not cost effective. But now it's not. I think it's getting into the grasp of more and more companies out there. And I'm happy to see that.
The closest parallel I could comment to would be in the early days of robotic automation, everything was custom, one of a kind, new, had a lot of engineering or maybe even development, or maybe even inventing in it. Today, we have pre-engineered standards, we call them, even some standard solutions. We can only take our standard solutions so far because everybody's parts or situation or even the layout of the robotic cell is a little different. But we can take it to an 80 or 90% level and recognize that fits certain markets, and we offer that at Mesh. And I think the closest parallel to your an analogy of the flat screen is our cobot palletizer.
Yeah.
It's a one lane in, two pallets out, drop in, pre-engineered. Hardly anything changes on that from customer to customer. And it's the closest thing we have to a standard product. And to your point, yep, the price gets driven down, down, down. We make it better, better, better with every implementation and streamline it. And that's definitely happening in certain facets of our business.
Yep. So when you and this is really for either of you, but when you come on board with a customer and they want to work with you, what does the beginning phases look like? What does the exploratory phase look like? What type of information and data do they need to bring? Is there analysis that's done? How do you condition that customer in the beginning with the work to get the best possible outcome in the end?
Mm-hmm. Well, I can share from our side, and then Jim, you're welcome to as well. But so the exploration phase, we first do an introduction call, get to know each other. We do a site visit, and then we do a data request, and that's included in our offering. It's just something we do with everybody is look at that data initially. I'll run through those key points of the data in just a second, but and then we present the solutions, select them, and create the project plan and get started. But some of that data set, it typically includes SKU data, SKU data, which would be like the materials description, categories, subcategories, just the volume, weight, unit of measure, all that, any kind of SKU data that we can get. And then also pallet data, which is the empty dimensions, the full dimensions, construction type, number of bottom boards and the width of the boards, and our slip sheets used. And then the third section would be, or set of data would be order data. So the order ID or any unique order identifiers, the quantity of each SKU ordered, and then the average volume of orders per store, average lines picked per order would fall into that category. And then the fourth one would be operational data. So current picking style, either batch, zone, or discrete, picking requirements, and then any special requirements such as like value added service or any other kind of documentation that's needed.
Is it difficult for them to pull that data? I mean, because some people use different levels of warehouse management system and the like, right. And so not all data is equal. How big of a challenge for that, or is that for you, to take all these different methods of getting data and get it into the way that you need it for your systems to work?
Mm-hmm. Every operation is a little bit different. Some people have all this at the ready and they can get it to us the next day. Some folks don't have very little of it. So that's, we typically spend a day or two on site doing all the observation, asking the questions, and we can gather what we need ourselves as well. But so it just depends on the operation and what level of data they have at the ready.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I feel like it in the conveyor world, let's just talk with conveyors and sorters for a second. There are lots of different options. Yeah, fair. Like some of them are, very, very fast. Some of them are slow. They're actuated differently. So how do you then take that data from your potential customer and say, this, based on what you have provided for us and what you are hoping to achieve, this is the best type of conveyor for you. You don't need the Mercedes-Benz. You're good right here. Like, how do you arrive at that? Because there's so many different options that are out there that you could utilize.
Absolutely. And our offering is it's tailored and it's unique to each warehouse. So it really depends on the need, their goals, and their budget. But we spend time on the floor to identify those opportunities for improvement, pain points, ergonomic, operational challenges, and then based on the budget and data, we customize the solution. So one of our engineers, Sarah Murdoch, I like her analogy. She says, we can build a Ferrari, but if you need to haul around 6 kids, it won't be the best solution. If you can afford a bicycle, but your data says you need a semi truck, there might be some internal process improvements that need to occur before we can help. So
yeah. If I had a Ferrari, though, I would give it my best shot of getting my kids in there and hauling them around. I just want that on the record for everyone to hear, in case Ferrari ever listens to this podcast. Cool. So, but let me ask this question, though. Guaranteed that every time you go in and you have one of these sessions with your customers, since it's such a big investment that they're making, capital investment, they're going to want to know, when do I start to see my ROI? How quickly can I get, maybe not achieve my ROI, but how quickly can I get clarity that, okay, I'm on the path to achieving my ROI down the road? Like, how fast does that happen for customers once they are up and running with your systems?
It's a good question. It depends on the scenario and the project, and there's a lot of factors, but that's one thing we do upfront is we do that analysis, and we can share that information. That's why the data is so important, that we can give them that kind of ROI estimate. So we're very collaborative with that process, and we've got the right folks on our staff that do that day in and day out, so they're able to really make sure the numbers and the investment make sense, and that we're helping them reach their ultimate goal.
Yeah. I mean, I would feel like as long as the system is up and running and it is operating in the way that you said that you wanted it to be designed, I would think that you can look at that and say, okay, well, day one, it seems to be operating at 85% or 90%. So it's not too big of a leap to then think, oh, I'm already on the path for ROI because it is doing exactly what I already reduced, one picker, or my pick to ship window for these 100 packages went down 30% or whatever it may be. So I think that is probably a realistic, it's just going through that upgrade period of installing it and getting it all in there that they have to kind of work through.
That's
so
right.
Speaking of conveyors, though, when you look at automation out there with fast conveyors and sorters and those type things, it's like if you do a tour of a facility, let's say that me and my CEO of my small company are considering investing in conveyors, and so we're going to take a tour of facility X down the road that has one. When you see a fast moving conveyors like that with sorters that are moving boxes everywhere, if you're not used to that, if you haven't run a facility like that, it's just like eye-opening and can be mesmerizing what's happening up there with the conveyor. But is it true to say, though, that the real work, the real heavy lifting, the real magic, if you will, is happening underneath the hood in the software and the programming and the controls, and not necessarily what you see? So, Jim, I guess for you, have you seen that to be the case? And what is a WM or a WCS? Because that term gets thrown around a lot when it comes to conveyors and sorters and automation.
Well, yeah, we build robotic systems, right? And the fun part about messing around with robots, frankly, is there's tooling, there's mechanical elements to it. There might be vision systems to give the robots eyes. There might be force sensors to give the robots a sense of touch. But always, 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 there's programming.
Yep.
And there's robot programming to make the robot move. There's cell PLC, programmable logic controller type level programming, and safety programming that allows people to work with the robot cell in a safe and kind of easy way. Our philosophy at Mesh is if you can run a microwave oven, you can run one of our $2 or $3 or $4 million cells, right? We recognize that a lot of our customers have, unfortunately, turnover in their operator level staff. And sometimes folks English isn't their first language. So there's things we do within our PLC level programming and interface to the human that allow for easy use and maintenance. If there's a vision system, there's vision programming. And if there's a WCS, a warehouse control system, and or an interface to a WMS, a warehouse management system, there's another layer in there, the WES, the execution system. All these different layers of software, plus the actuarial things that we do to make the robot do what it's supposed to do. When you look at our effort, software is super important. And a lot of our upfront work that you've been speaking to here recently has to do with how all that communication is going to work. Certainly how we're going to touch the part, whether it be a case or a pallet or a tote or a bin or a pail or whatever the heck it might be. We have end-of-arm tools that allow us in our library, because of our many systems we've put in, we have sort of a library of end-of-arm tools that we can bring to bear that with maybe a slight modification here or there. Okay, that question's answered. Let's move on. And then the robot selection, the safety system that goes around the robot. Okay, let's move on. But then when we get to the software and the actual commissioning and implementation of the system and interfacing to the local control system, the WCS, or overall WMS, that's when our software teams take over. And what we do there to make sure everything goes smoothly, and I know Lafayette does very much the same thing. We have meetings with customers and understand their expectations and all that sort of thing. But then we take it to a functional spec. We'll write a document that explains very clearly the signal exchange or the information exchange between the elements that are in the system. And if we sometimes, Lafayette and Mesh both get involved where we have yet another vendor, right, who's supplying yet something else, whether it be an AGV system or a storage retrieval system. So a big part of what we do, the big lift often is our project management folks working at Mesh, working with the various elements of software and project managers on the other side to all come together as a cohesive team for that customer you were mentioning who walks in and sees these mesmerizing conveyors. And how's that all work? Well, the way it all works is there's folks like us, like Lafayette and Mesh, who spend a lot of time and in a lot of rooms talking about a lot of details and agreeing to either an overall functional spec document or in some other way coming to an agreement on how all this, who's going to do what and how it's all going to work.
Yeah.
If we don't do that, we're destined for a tough road ahead. So with our experience, we obviously avoid that whole path by addressing everything right up front.
Yep. Preparation is key. Jim, I need to make sure that I add microwave use on my screening checklist for all the managers that I might hire in the future. If you just watch them operate the microwave, if they can't, then they're out. They're never going to make it.
Yeah, you don't want them anywhere near one of our robot cells.
No,
I'm kidding. Actually, we'll do everything from videos. We do a manual, but we'll do videos and we'll do training as well as the Lafayette. We want our customers to be not scared of what they're about to get into. And as I mentioned earlier, and there's my cat right on cue. There's Prince right there. Hi, buddy. It can be intimidating, and being in more of the robot side of things, and having a lot of first-time users of robots in our mix. People think they're going to lose their job. Oh, the robots are going to take over. And then with AI out there, the scare, right? All of a sudden AI is going to become sentient and take over the world. None of that's going to happen. We have customers who have taken employees and just reassigned them into other areas. And there's several stories we could share about customers having on-floor operating type people who've taken great promotions and taken over whole swaths of the plant as far as responsibility, and become more quality control type folks, or movement and flow and optimization type people, as opposed to dedicated to a specific manual function. So robots actually give, in most cases that we've seen in the last 20 odd years, an opportunity for folks to advance within their organization, as well, as long as they embrace it. We're not here to put people out of work. Actually, in today's world, on your point of return on investment, we have customers who are coming to us to implement robotic automation in order to retain employees.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely.
So
make their life easier.
It's different. It's not direct labor savings only calculation, straight linear math.
Yep.
There's a lot of variables now.
Yep.
Indirect benefits of automation that are coming into play, and the accounting folks are starting to recognize some of those. And the high level, the C-level folks are starting to say, we got to get robots in here. We're not going to be able to make our product.
Yep, that's a point that has come up on other podcasts that I've done, and it is shared throughout the industry. And I'm happy to hear that is becoming more mainstream now, because that is true. Warehouse work can be very grueling work. It wears you out over a long time, and robots can really help make life easier for employees. So let me ask you about this piece of equipment. So what about palletizers and depalletizers? Because I've always felt like a lot of automation is a big IT lift. It has to be very integrated with your ERP, a lot of cases, your WMS. But for palletizers and depalletizers, though, that's really not necessarily the case. It's really just kind of taken on manual labor and making it easier for employees. So have you found that is a good gateway or a good entry for people that want to explore the use of automation or robots, with the advantage of quick implementation and not having to get it so ingrained in your other systems?
So we've certainly put in depalletizing and palletizing systems that are, if you will, blind to the WMS, in that we're just moving things in what some folks might call a black box. The cell is a black box. We're moving item from here to here, and nobody really is tracking what it is. But we've also put in systems that are tightly integrated with through the WCS to the WMS, of tracking everything that's moving in a way that a human can't. So we have barcode scanners. We have barcode scanning tunnels that we can feed through. We have case sizing tunnels that can verify the SKU data that we receive from the WMS that's actually true to that case, and scan the barcode and track it. Some of our big box retailers, nods to them, because they're demanding that their fulfillment operations understand where everything is almost at any moment. The guy up in the big office wants to be able to push a button and know where everything is. So it gets right down to our little induction depal at a distribution center, where we're just taking boxes of different colored spray paint, and it's SKU 1, SKU 2, SKU 3. It's red, green, blue, but they're all in the same pallet, and we're separating those off, for example, with a robot. But the boxes are all the same. They all look the same to a glance. But the vision system tells us, no, this one goes here, that one goes there, and that one goes over there. It's definitely part of our world that we can just depal and pal, and that's a great project for us. But we can also do that and track and verify and interface.
And that's good too. Not only internally to your building, could I see value in that? But I feel like it's also a selling feature that they will then kind of sell to their customers. Hey, look at this. You can do business with us. We take care of your product. Look, I can track it wherever it is in the facility, and it builds up that comfort level and that confidence that, oh, okay, well, my product is good here, or I should do good business with them here, because they're very accountable and they track their inventory no matter where it is. So I think that there's a lot there too.
We recently completed a project that was a reverse distribution center, a return center for cell phones. And every cell phone has a unique identifier. It's an IMEI. It's a number that's identified to the cell phone. and we track the device. Our portion of it was the robotic material handling. There's a whole bunch of other things that were involved in the facility that we just interfaced with. But whenever we had a touch on a cell phone, that IMEI was recorded back to the WMS, again, to the point that the level that no matter what was going on, wherever, a guy could push a button and know where every phone was. Wow. This is 60,000 phones a day.
Yeah, that's a large amount.
Software has to be, particularly robust in any situation, but certainly in a situation like that, you get off one character and here we go. Yep. So yeah, it has to be done, correctly. And I know Lafayette with Conveyor Works and their WMS package has much the same capability. And Lafayette does quite a little bit in apparel and other industries. And those are often import type operations as well as domestic production. It's lots of times mixed. So our challenge on that front is getting standardization. When getting the customer to the point, where everything we can be tracked because the labeling on it is somehow standardized, or at least within the realm of being standardized, so we can track.
Now, Kris, let me ask you this question. Once you kind of get a customer up and running and everything's steady, how much of a lift for them do they have, one, in their IT realm, for the projects you do, but also in their maintenance realm? So should they be carrying spare parts there on site for the conveyance? Is there some type of service agreement, preventative maintenance? Like, what can they expect on those two departments that they have inside their company?
Mm-hmm. Well, we offer a help desk and other, various levels of customer service and PM contracts and that kind of thing. And then we also provide a list of critical spares and we recommend, customers to stock certain items, perhaps locally. Yeah. But we do offer several maintenance options, as far as like quarterly PMs, even on site, a full-time person on site, even for a few months or a year or what have you. We've done that on occasion too, depending on the project and the level of experience that the company's team has with the equipment. And then we also offer training on the conveyors, the systems, and all that as well. So we're a good partner, and I always love hearing unsolicited compliments about our company in that regard, that we're a good partner after everything's up and running. We stick with you to make sure it's meeting your needs and that we're there for you through all that.
Yeah, I think that's key. I mean, at least in the beginning, because people are still learning to crawl, walk, run with it, and they don't have the familiarity yet. They don't know where all of the weak points are and all the little tricks and everything. They kind of learn that over time, I think, as they have it, but they're not going to have that in the beginning. Right. So I said this, Kris. So one of the products that is front and center on the Lafayette website is the magnetic sortation divert switch. Can you tell me what that is? How does that operate, and what's valuable about that? Why is it something that is a big deal for your company?
Yeah, thanks for asking. It's specifically designed for high-speed sortation, and it uses electromagnetic technology in the form of multiple magnets inside the LMS switch. The magnetic fields are used to draw the pins and bearings of the shoes toward the diverting path. So it's the only divert switch to use multi-magnetic technology. There are no moving parts, so it's capable of eliminating issues such as noise level and wear and tear. So it's got speed capabilities up to 725 feet per minute, and the switch can be used in a new system or with minor adjustments. It can be a drop-in unit to your current hydraul or your sortation system. So ideally, anybody who needs to move materials or packages fast, this is a great solution for it. Yeah.
All right, I got you. Well, what's on the horizon for both of you? I mean, I know you're at the trade shows. In fact, I feel like I've seen your booths at the trade shows before. But what's on the horizon in 2025 and beyond? I mean, what's cooking?
Yeah. Jim, I'll let you go first to make the exciting announcement.
You know, when the Robbins family purchased Mesh, Mitch Larson was our founder, and he came from industry, a high-level engineering fella, very smart guy, registered professional engineer in multiple states, mechanical engineer. And he created Mesh Automation. And my take on Mitch is that he's a development-oriented fella. He loves running the business. He's done it very successfully year on year for many years. But he always is, you see a little glint in his eye like a little kid. When we start talking about something new and different that needs to be developed, we need a little
in the blood
magic, right? He likes coming up with the magic. So our team at Mesh, the applications engineering team and the design team, is very oriented towards standardization, of which we've adopted more recently than maybe perhaps in times past, so that we could scale the company as a more viable and successful business as years go by. But every once in a while, something comes along and it's like, we need to build that. And currently, I'm happy to say I don't know if I'm happy to say it, but we currently have more development stuff going on at Mesh than we've ever had. That awesome. Is development stuff that has a specific target in mind. Now, so getting an inquiry from a customer and developing and building something and then shipping it to them, okay, that's one exercise. What I'm referring to is we have development things underway that we know have markets, but we don't necessarily have an order for yet. And thank you, LaFayette, for providing the funding and the support for some of these things that we're doing that as a smaller company we might have been able to do, but would have been slower. So to answer your question, come to ProMat, visit our booth. Yeah. You're going to see a high-speed induction system based on 3D vision with a robot. Capable of 1,800 each picks, and we will be showing it onto a conveyor for the sake of the demonstration, but it certainly can be sidled up next to a sorter, a Bombay sorter, for example. But it can also be retrofitted into existing facilities that already have a sorter, perhaps humans doing the induction. And it does have an economical return on investment that we can talk about with you at the show or afterwards. So we have that big old monster that's going to be the predominant thing in our booth, but what won't be in the booth, but certainly is going on at Mesh. We have a tray former. We have a whole range of pallet dispensers that continue to be developed and redeveloped. Our ongoing, I'm looking at my fingers, sorry, ongoing development of our end-of-arm tools and our control system. We have AI-driven vision systems, barcode scanning tunnels, verification tunnels, and things of that nature that just naturally come out of our play in the robot material handling space. As we have to know what we're getting to know what to do with it. So the barcode scanning tunnel piece is vitally important. Our cobot palletizer is front and center, and we're doing some pretty cool things with AMRs. We're doing some things with AMRs that we think the industry needs that we haven't quite seen yet. And we're partnered up with a couple of vendors in that space that, there's going to be some pretty exciting things coming for us in the AMR.
This is like a teaser. I feel like I'm doing a teaser on my show, and there's all this stuff that's going to be revealed. I feel like we need to have a follow-on show with a video of your booth at ProMat. I might post that on my website.
You know what? We're about a week out from having a video. If you'd like to see it on this, we're calling it X Induct. So we have developed some software called Pallet X Builder, which is a piece of software that helps us and our end users. You know, to your point of service and support, and Kris did a great job answering about Lafayette's service and support. Sometimes when you throw some vision systems and robots in there too, into some of these locations, the service and support We, again, try to make it as simple as possible. We document, and we provide spare parts lists and training and all that kind of thing. But still, as time goes on, even some of our more sophisticated customers need, that 24/7 support, and we offer that as well. But the true answer for us is to make it so easy to operate and easy to troubleshoot, and giving troubleshoot guides, even video training type stuff. Think of a video that's embedded in the cell controller that you can push a button and listen to the video on how to do that.
It's cool.
It's totally just simple technology for us these days, right? And it helps the new operator get familiar with the system and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Awesome.
But be happy.
Can't wait.
Happy to show you the video of the Ian duct.
Yeah.
And the Pallet X Builder, which is, again, a piece of software that makes a palletizing system very easy to use and change and modify and stuff. Yeah.
Very cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's what, we're not a big company, but we're very excited about what we're doing and very motivated.
Yeah. Sounds like it. Well,
and I can tack onto that and just say that we're excited about ProMat for Mesh. We're supporting them, cheering them on, and super excited about this reveal, and just to see them at the show next month. But also, just as far as exciting on our end, we're growing, and as word spreads from ecstatic customers, we naturally get referrals, which is that's always exciting. But I'm working hard to get our logo and our offering in front of operations managers nationwide. So, if anybody is interested in starting these conversations, seeing what's possible, or coming to have a chat with us at the Mesh booth at ProMat, please reach out. I guess we'll share our contact information. I'm certainly available on LinkedIn as well through messaging, but I get excited about the opportunity and where the companies are headed.
Awesome. Me too. Yeah. I mean, I always finish with that question, like, where can people find you and the whole thing, but it's almost always the same. LinkedIn, our website, ProMat. That's where we're going to be.
That's perfect.
So one of those places. Absolutely. Cool. Well, go ahead.
Nope. That's where we are. We're the same. Our Rita Shukard is our marketing manager, and she's hitting the LinkedIn hard, and it's great. There's almost always something new, probably 3 times a week, popping up on LinkedIn for us.
As will this clip from the show will pop up on LinkedIn, as Kris has seen. So, and a little bit more. Yeah,
you do a great job with it. This is very valuable. So thank you for your work making these episodes happen.
Yeah, no, it's my pleasure. And, thank you very much again for coming on the show. It was very insightful. I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff that's going on out there, and it's obvious that both of you are a great resource, a great avenue for people to go to as they grow and really get some solutions that can provide a lot of value. So thank you very much for coming on the show. And I really appreciate it. I'm sure that we will see each other in the future as our paths cross in the distribution world. So thank you again.
Hey, Kris, thank you for setting this up.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate the time here.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys. Well, that concludes the show today. Thank you again for Jim and Kris for coming on. Very, very insightful, very good information. If you are in that space, if you're at ProMat, would go by the booth at Mesh Automation and see exactly what Jim was teasing there. So you might see some really cool stuff. So thank you again for tuning in. Remember, at the Warehouse Underground, please sign up for the community. Lots of very, very cool stuff that's going on inside the message boards. Lots of good content in there, network information share. And so that's really growing. So I encourage everybody to sign up for that. And with that, I will see you next time for the next podcast. Thank you, guys.